If you're partnering with the Disability Digest here to get your disability benefits approved and you're watching this, once you complete the answers, you send it to us. We'll check it, make sure that it's good. If it's not, we'll ask you to redo it or revise it so that it's in line with the directions. So very important lessons. So this is like one of the contributions from an industry expert to make this work. All right, so what I want to point out about the course is this. If somebody is applied and waiting, like we talked about back here, then they're not going to need the information that I really just shared with you, except for the fact they're going to need to understand like how to communicate they're disabled and what they need to prove. But they won't need to file their application because they've already done that. So for somebody that is applied and waiting, the key things for them are going to be in the next segment of the course here. I need to just make sure that I don't have too many windows open and I get lost, so I'm going to close this. And unless somebody is approved and they have an award letter or money in their bank, they should definitely be working on the evidence for their case. This is my opinion, because you cannot presume just because you filed your application, you had a conversation on the phone, or your representative did, that everything is in there. So doctor's support is key. And for those that are at initial, those that have applied and waiting, or at any stage in the process, really is to understand how to get doctor's support, which is taking forms to your doctors called residual functional capacity report forms. They're available by clicking the green button, getting those filled out by your doctor, and having those put in your case file. Why is that important? The short story is this. It confirms that your doctor is treating you, what their opinion is on your limitations, like can you sit, stand, bend, stoop, those types of things. And if it also offers their opinion on how many days a month they believe that you would miss work. So if they say that you would miss work 3 or more days a month, it makes you unemployable in most situations. So this is very helpful because Social Security recognizes the forms that are associated with this green button. And it helps Social Security easily understand the condensed version of your medical records, which in many cases, medical records could be thousands of pages. So it really is helpful for them. Now, not all doctors will complete these. Kind of a separate story, but there's other things that you'll learn from the course, like what you should be doing in each and every doctor's appointment to communicate your limitations so that they're in the medical records. So that is another way to get around this, or in addition to this. But this is important for everybody all the way up until you are approved, is to work on doctor's support and communicating limitations into your medical records. There's other evidence that can be added for people here that we've worked with at the Disability Digest. We have encouraged them, if they have mobility limitations, to, I'm looking for my phone around here, but simply take out their phone or have somebody shoot a quick video with a smartphone that's like 20 seconds that demonstrates their mobility issues for walking or lifting or raising, you know, their arm above their shoulder, whatever it may be, and putting that in a case file, because there isn't a visual piece in the case file until you, or all the way up until you go to court. And most court cases now are actually done over the telephone. So to add a visual component to the case really is something that separates people from others, the other 1.5 million people that are applying out there. And of course, it's got to be factual, and that limitation that you communicate in the video needs to be supported by your medical records. But it's things like this that the course will help you with. In addition to that, at the initial application level, most, say 73% of the people, will go to an exam with a doctor that Social Security has hired. What you do in that exam can make or break your case. There are 7 steps that we have outlined for you to maximize that. So for the initial phase, there's 2 parts that we've talked about, is those that haven't applied, what their needs are, and those that are applied and waiting. Applied and waiting is one of the biggest areas of false sense of Social Security, if you will. It's like, oh, I put my application in, I'm just going to see what I should do. But by making your best effort to get everything right in the beginning, not only does it maximize your chances to get approved at initial, but it also will set you up in the event that you don't, because your evidence is in the file. Okay. All right, so the next step is your initial application has been denied. And if your initial application has been denied, then in all except 10 states, you will have what's called the reconsideration appeal. And the word reconsideration in the appeal part means that you're telling Social Security to reconsider your decision because they missed something or they didn't look at something. Now, for the 10 states that don't have this, you're going to just advance to the next step that I'll cover in a moment. But for those that do have it, the reconsideration appeal, you can win at reconsideration. The approval percentages are like 11.7%. They're really low. And the initial application national average is around 36%. So you can win at the reconsideration, and of course you can win at the initial application, especially if you do it right. So some of the key things you'll learn from this segment is you want to review your denial letter, because Social Security, it's their responsibility to request the medical records from your doctors. That's your initial application. So if somebody has 5 doctors that they're seeing and that they submitted to Social Security, but Social Security only has medical records from 3 of them and made a decision, that's a key point for your appeal. You should reconsider this because you missed 2 doctors or you didn't get the medical records or something like that. Sometimes there's information that's not clear. Conditions are not looked at with the right severity. Maybe somebody has a condition that is looked at by Social Security as being mild, and a condition is either mild, moderate, or severe, but it's really not mild. That condition is severe and they looked at it wrong. So these are some of the things. Craft the appropriate appeal based on what your findings are and submit it. All of the directions to do that are right here. Or if you have a disability representative that you're using, you can kind of just fact check them, make sure that they are doing the right thing. Okay. So now, if this appeal gets denied, or if you're one of those in the 10 states that does not have this, then you're going to go on to the next step of appeal, which is that you're going to request a hearing from Social Security to have your day in court. And a hearing is just what it is. You have a court date where your case is prepared, it's brought to court, And if you're ideally, this is one area where I don't feel people should go into court on their own, but I've met, I think it's 8 people now that have gone into court on their own, and 2 of those won. So it's not really good odds, but people still seem to do it. All right.